Okay, now I'm back. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I'm gonna stop sharing this screen actually before I get going. Um, it's been a while since I've done a Faith Friday, and I have a lot to talk about today. And some of this I think is going to be maybe a little bit interesting for some of you, and some of you it may not be. But I just want to talk about a few things that have happened in this world lately and kind of discuss, where my mind's at with all of it. There's some fun stuff to talk about, like the fact that a CEO of a company literally didn't think he was going to get caught. I'm like, we live in a social media world. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, particularly because she calls herself a Christian and then spews a lot of things that are not Christ-like or are not indicative of a Christian woman. And so I just want to talk about the hypocrisy there. But first, I want to talk about a faith-based topic, which is the floods in Texas. Absolutely heartbreaking. The floods in Texas are were absolutely heartbreaking. I have family in Texas, though it wasn't in that region, the hill country. My family lives near the Austin area, so it was devastating. And one thing that was interesting to me was the amount of people who were looking to blame the government. And I think this is a recent development. This is where the faith piece comes in, because when you're a Christian, you understand that some things happen because they're natural disasters, right? So natural disasters are things that are God, an act of God. So a lot of it used to be, and I don't know if this is the case. I actually haven't read our insurance policy, but it used to be that one of the clauses in your insurance policy were called acts of God. And what that meant was people were acknowledging that sometimes it wasn't the government, sometimes it wasn't a lapse in judgment, sometimes it's just unforeseen circumstances that cause these horrific events, and it's literally an act of God. But I have this theory that because we are becoming a nation who is leaning more and more towards, God is not in control, God is not sovereign, he's not running everything, that it can't possibly be just God. So what do? We look to find blame somewhere. We have to find blame. And oftentimes that blame is like the government or the other party. So we saw this with the fires in LA. A lot of people were like, oh, this is what, Gavin Newsom gets because he didn't do XYZ, right? And so people were blaming, Gavin Newsom for what was happening in California. And now with Texas, they're blaming President Trump and saying that he cut all this funding, which we also know was not true. We know that wasn't, yes, he cut funding, but there are more than enough people on hand. Sometimes people just don't get out on time. Sometimes God actually is just running the show. And I'm kind of starting to despise and disdain Christians who don't follow this logic in their life. Yes, we now know that the fires in California were started by someone who lit a match, right? They weren't natural necessarily, right? But the devastation, a lot of that was just purely because of the landscape of California. And with Texas, with the hill country, what we know now is there were actually extra people on staff. So it wasn't a lapse in funding issue, so to speak. It was like people don't leave their homes in the same. Let me say this in California for you. In California, we'll get air quality warnings, right? We'll get air quality control warnings, and we all leave our house and still go outside, right? This in the same manner in Texas, you'll get a flash flood warning, and like 90% of the time, they don't mean anything too catastrophic. But every once in a while, they do. And so this was just an act of God whereby things just happen too quickly for us to make adjustments. That's why it was so difficult to get service people on hand. In fact, people were called out immediately, but it was just the water was rising too fast. It was called a flash flood. And something that is heartbreaking to me is watching Christians go down this hole of like these arguments around government. And I believe that we are like moving towards unbelief. Like we're just moving towards not believing that God is actually sovereign. And I think it's hard because one of the things that Christians, if you're a true believer, you will probably struggle with this is that, yes, sometimes bad things do happen and God allows them to happen. He allows them to happen because if God is in control, then he is actually letting things unfold, even if we don't necessarily like it, right? And I think since COVID, we've kind of developed this sort of feeling that we can blame, that we can actually point out where things come from and point out, and there's always a pinpointing factor for something. Like it actually bothers me, you guys, that people walk around being like, I must have gotten my illness from the airport. It's like, okay, or you got it from touching the doorknob at the grocery store. Like you can't, we're not God. We can't pinpoint every single cause and response. And that is something that I think we should avoid as Christians. Like that is not, we need to make sure that we're not falling into that trap of trying to be God in that way and condemning others, forgetting that there is a God in control. So if you're going, well, this happened because this person in the government, when it's a natural disaster, I would question whether or not you believe that God is actually sovereign, because he is. And that means that there are things that are going to happen, tsunamis, earthquakes, natural disasters, acts of God that are going to happen. And there's going to be no cause. There's going to be nothing, no amount of preparedness would have fixed this. But we're living in a state, in a country where, because we don't actually fear God and because we don't actually believe in God, we think that we can just fix everything with our own knowledge, with our own resources. Is there something wrong? Is there anything wrong with being prepared? No. But one thing that you have to know about God is that he's going to let you know that he's God. So you're going to, Titanic, let's take the Titanic for instance. They took every security measure possible, right? They were like, we're going to do this, we're going to do X, Y, Z, we're going to do this. This ship is unsinkable. And they were, all the scientists and the engineers got together and they created this unsinkable ship. And God was like, I'm still God. I'm still God. So in the same way that we create all of these high rises and they're on rollers and they're this and they're that, and they're earthquake proof. And God's going to say, I'm still God. And don't forget that I'm still God. And you can think whatever you want to think, but as believers, we ought to consider that and ought to think about that when we're responding to these natural disasters, instead of looking to be like, well, it's President Trump's fault or it's Gavin Newsom's fault. It's like, this was an act of God. This was an act of God. And sometimes that's all that it is. And there's nothing more to it. It's just a natural tragedy in the human existence. And so we, as believers, I think we need to make sure that we're exercising wisdom and exercising like discernment when we're talking about these things, because it makes no sense as a Christian to be like, I need to blame everybody for everything. That is what people who do not or are not believers do. That is the marks of unbelievers. They're always looking for someone to blame earthside, because the reality is that they don't believe that God is sovereign. They don't believe that God is sovereign. Okay, so that's my first topic. Now, let's talk about what is done in the dark will always come to light. So I am old enough now, you guys. I'm old enough now where 6:30. I'm old enough now to where I am seeing things happen like repeatedly. So you get to this point in your life. So I'm getting close to my 40s now, right? So I'm almost 40. And so since I was 16, I have like vivid memories from when I was like 13 years old. So now I've been in this full cycle where I'm starting to see truths. And you will start to see this too. If you're younger now, you will start to see truths that resonate. And one of the truths that resonate is that what is done in the dark will always come to light. And even more so now, because we are living in an age where like you can run, but you can't hide. Like there's too many cell phones, there's too many cameras, there's too much visibility. And yeah, this was just foolish. So if you've been living under a rock, Astronomer CEO and his HR executive went to a concert. Now he is married. His daughter actually just posted on TikTok. She was like, trying to put my life back together after my dad's affair has gone viral. So this is the CEO. This is the HR person. This is not his wife. And they are hugged up at a Coldplay concert. Now, what happens at a concert? They have all these kiss cams and all this other stuff. And what is done in the dark will always come to light. So we're going to watch this hot mess of an embarrassment and talk about just what I've learned and the scale of things, of which things happen. So let me just make sure my audio's here. And he goes, either they're having an affair or they're just very shy. So that was like one of the singers of Coldplay. He was right. He was right. Now, how do we avoid this? Number one, don't go out in public. But number two, don't have affairs. It's like very, very simple things. Because this could have been anywhere. This could have been anywhere. But of course, it's at a concert and it was online and people saw it. Let's continue watching. So that was the clip. Let's watch this again. So let's talk about what's done in the dark will come into light. So one thing that I've learned is that this is true. This is a truism that marks across all time. What is done in the dark will always come to light. Now, sometimes God spares us and we'll do it on a small scale. So you'll be exposed to like your friend group, or you'll be exposed maybe at your work, or you'll be exposed maybe at your church. But sometimes you're exposed on a global scale. And here's what I've learned in life. Whenever you're exposed like this, okay, it's usually commensurate with the amount of hiding you've been doing. So I'm not so sure this is his first affair. Because for you to be so brazen, to show up snuggled up, like this has been going on for a long time. Look at that. Just utter embarrassment. This has been going on for a long time. So what I've learned is that sometimes you'll get exposed on a small scale, right? So maybe you lie, maybe you cheat, maybe you steal, you get exposed on a small scale. And so you feel repentant, and then you say, I'm sorry. And then you do it again, and you're exposed on a larger scale. But the consequences aren't really that bad, right? So maybe he had an affair with his wife the first time, and she, on his wife the first time, and she said, don't ever do this again. He said, okay, I love you. I'm going to go to counseling. And it was just a small text message or something, right? And then maybe she caught him again, and he was like, oh, but it's my colleague, and we're texting all the time, and it's about work. And then God said, okay, so you're being stupid here, okay? And I've warned you a couple times, like you didn't listen. So now I'm going to blow your spot up, okay? I'm going to blow your entire spot up. So he is the CEO of a company with a wife and children, with one of his coworkers. And this is the entanglement that they're in. And this should be a lesson. I've talked about this before. I talk about this thing that I call like mirrors or projections, right? Where I am always looking out for like, what is God trying to teach the world right now, right? Like, why did this go viral? Why? I mean, people cheat on their spouses every day. They get caught every day. You know, they're even posted on TikTok every day. If you guys are not on TikTok, there's like a whole section of like, I caught my husband, blah, 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 blah. They are caught every single day. But why this, right? I always ask myself, why this? Sometimes God, I feel like God will put up a group of people in front of us, right? Or an incident in front of us and say, hey, this is all y'all's warning. This is all y'all's warning that whatever is done in the dark will come to light. So, if you're cheating on your taxes, if you're cheating on your wife, if you're cheating at your job, just know that this could be you. This could be you. And I've said this before. I think that this is an example of that, where this is what can happen when you get so comfortable in your darkness that you don't think that there are consequences. And a lot of times people get really comfortable with money and they don't think that there are consequences for them. They don't think that there are consequences for them. And a lot of people might say, well, the wife knew about it. If she knew about it, this response right here wouldn't have happened. That would not have happened if the wife knew about it. She did not know about it. They are absolutely ashamed. Absolutely ashamed. And I'm telling you guys right now, whenever you see someone on stage, and this is like global, I'm not talking about YouTube viral or Instagram viral or TikTok viral. I'm talking about global stage. Like you are trending on X. There are news articles about it. Just know that it is a warning. It is serving as a warning that this is what can happen. Because he's really a nobody. Like, y'all, to be honest, I don't even know what Astronomer is. I don't know what it is. Right? But what I do know is that this man is foul for what he did. What I do know is that there are millions of men and women in this situation right now who just got their wake-up call. Why would you go to a public concert knowing that there are cameras everywhere? Did you think, oh, we're going to be in a sea of a million people and nobody will see us and everything's going to be fine? Let this serve as a warning. You can run, but you cannot hide. Whatever is done in the dark will come to light. And I'm saying this because I have had this happen in my own life on just like small things, right? Small cutting corners on small things gets exposed in the work. Cutting corners on small things gets exposed in the outcome, right? I'm not even talking about like relational, personal stuff, but just know that this is a principle that spans time, because what I've seen now over time is that what is done in the dark will always come to the light. And you have to be wise enough. You have to take these instances when people are blown up on television, on Twitter, on X, on Instagram. This is God saying, hi, I'd like to remind you that I could do this to you too if you don't repent. Repent. I could do this to you if you don't repent. So I'm actually grateful and thankful for these kinds of things, because it reminds me that to stay in integrity, to live in integrity. Because, like I said at the beginning of this clip, there are too many cameras. There are too many people watching unintentionally. Like you heard the guy, what's his name, from Coldplay? You heard him. He wasn't trying to be malicious. They were just doing a regular kiss cam. There are too many cameras. There are too many ways to be exposed. And so it's getting harder and harder to live out of integrity. There's too much digital consumption. So you better be careful. You better be careful with whatever you're doing, because if there's something that you don't want people to know, number one, you're probably, it's probably wrong. But number two, it will come out. Somebody will post something and accidentally post a picture. You could be in the background with somebody. They're not even trying to take a photo of you, but someone sees it on TikTok or Facebook and they go, wait a minute, that looks like so and so back there. And they start doing a little digging, and pretty soon, whatever you've been trying to hide is public information. So, what is done in the dark will always come to light. Now, let's get to the ultimate what is done in the dark is always comes to light. Let's talk about this lady right here. Okay. Um Whenever someone starts giving advice about something that they're not engaged in, I always get nervous. Okay. I always go, okay, this isn't congruent, right? This doesn't make sense. So there a principle that I have in my life is that I don't talk about things that I've never experienced. I will talk about them, or I try not to give advice on things that I've never experienced. So I will talk about things that I have seen other people go through, but I always try and keep my professionalism to what I know, which is health, fitness, personal development, teaching, coaching, that sort of thing. Life principles, right? So if you don't know who this is Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. She's been on multiple TV shows. She came hot on the scene recently on YouTube, particularly in Black spaces, and she's a marriage and family therapist. And she's been running around on these podcasts giving advice to men. And quite frankly, a lot of the advice is very good. But she speaks with such conviction and such morality and such vigor, and she calls herself a Christian. Okay. And so Paul Pierce asked her a question. You're a marriage and family therapist. You're giving advice to couples. What's your relationship situation? Because I do have this thing where I'm like, so I'm probably not going to go to someone who's not married for advice on marriage. I will go to a marriage and family therapist for advice on myself, but I will not go to someone who's not married. So let's listen to what is done in the dark will always come to light. Let's listen to Paul Pierce expose Dr. Cheyenne Bryant for what's really going on in her life. Because if you're going to run out here and put your face out there again in public, you're not going to be able to hide for very long what your true motives, what your true life is. And I have issues with her calling herself a Christian because you guys just listen. A lot of people are like upset for her for saying this. I think you should date. I don't think you should have a boyfriend at 42. I think you should just be dating people, like getting to know people and having people in your rotation. Well, a lot of people think that that means having sleeping with someone, and that's because we have a screwed up dynamic. But I don't necessarily find that to be a problem that she's dating. Let's get to the darkness. So, one of the things that she often talks about is knowing what you want and knowing your value and boundaries and honesty and transparency. And she gives the advice to not waste your time. But if you have somebody that you've been on and off with for 4 or 5 years, whatever, you're wasting your own time. So you're running around and telling people, do this, do that. And like I said, some of her advice is very good. It's just good knowledge. But she doesn't have the experience to really speak to a lot of stuff. He's not wrong though. Like the thing is that if you're calling yourself someone who never went a woman of God, you're calling yourself, someone who has all of these accolades, and you're someone who holds yourself in high esteem and you value yourself, yet you are with someone for 5 years on and off, and you're not in a committed situation, you're letting someone spin the block. Like that to me tells me that there's other things going on. Oh no. Thank you for telling me. Hold on. Oh, I can't believe that. You can hear me speaking though, right? Shoot. Let me see if I can figure this out. Let's go like that. I can hear me. Okay. But let me see if I can. Oh, you guys. Okay, let me see if I can do this. Let's see. Because I totally. Hold on one second. Hold on, guys. Okay, if I do this, let's try this again. Oh, I was so excited for this live, you guys. I was so excited. Okay, let's see. Let me know if you can hear this.
Yeah.
What's your situation right now?
What you mean situation?
Like,
Happy?
You got a man?
I'm dating. I'm single, but I'm dating.
Single?
Can you hear that now? I just played it. Oh, I know there's a little lag. That is crazy. Oh, you can hear it now? Ah, okay, cool. I'm so mad. This was so much work. Okay. Let me play it over. So basically, Paul Pierce asks her, "What's your situation?" And she's like, "I have companions." And I'm like, "Okay, not bad, but like, help me understand." And then she's like, "Well, I have a guy that I've been talking to for on and off for 5 years." So you're giving all of this standards, boundaries, have hard lines, honesty, transparency, but you haven't been transparent about what you've been doing because you're spinning the block for 5 years. Okay, so I'll let you guys listen to that.
Single but dating?
I am
Something serious
dating.
more than other?
No, just dating.
We gotta change because she's therapying us.
Yeah.
We gotta make this about her now.
Right. You kind of therapizing us.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I want my woman to mommy me. Yeah.
Like, hold on, what's going on with you? This is about you. You just flipped the script on us. We over here.
Reverse Uno.
Man, you sure did.
But it was good. It was insightful.
No, we need to find out about what's going on with her. She dating, single.
Dating.
What do that entail for a 42-year-old?
I am dating.
Dating but single.
Enjoying my life. I have really good companions.
How many are you dating right now?
I'm not exclusively committed to anyone, but I have one guy that I have dated off and on for 5 years.
See, the minute she started stuttering, I was like, okay, this is where she's not as confident, because she always comes across as confident and put together, and I have it all together. And listen, I'll have to say this because people like, I can understand why people would say that about her. Like, oh, she seems like she has it all together. She does. She comes on shows, she speaks advice, some of which is very good, but she isn't even 100% sure about her own relationship status. And so Paul Pierce exposed something about her that she should have led with. I think people would have been more receptive to her if she hadn't come out of the, behind the curtain, come from behind the curtain, acting as if she had some kind of higher knowledge than everybody else, because it's like, you're not, as I said before, great advice in some areas, but if you're not married, it's really hard for you to give advice about marriage like that is genuine. It's all hypothetical, because the dynamic, when you get married, dynamics change. So giving advice about that is different, right? And she has presented herself as someone who is, I'm a godly woman, I have these boundaries, I have these standards, but I'm letting a man, we're going back and forth. What about what you're preaching? Practice what you preach. Just like that CEO, I'm sure he was practicing, preaching integrity and values in this company, and boom, use a lie. And the same thing is happening with her. What is done in the dark will always come to light.
Yes.
Got her.
We dated for 5 years off and
So
on.
you was his work for 5 years? You been his work? You still his work?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I know what's going on now. I'm about to, we're gonna take this sheep clothing off.
I am right. The wolf teeth going out. No, we
He
have
was somebody's work for 5 years.
We have been each other's companion for 5 years, and yeah, I have spent the block for 5 years, and it's the truth. And
I'm glad she said this though, because this is the kind of honesty that she should have come out with up front, because now she's getting, like, people have lost respect for her because of the way that she presented herself. And then this is the behavior that like, she gets on women for acting like this, and she gets on men for behaving in this way. But then you're engaging in it, babe. Like, you're engaging in the same sort of foolery. So it's hard to respect her, just like it is hard to respect your CEO when he's down the block with your HR consultant or your HR personnel. It's hard to respect people when you're not being honest about you're a hypocrite, because you're preaching against this yet engaging in this behavior yourself. And whenever you're this is something that scares me as a content creator. Okay, I'm nobody's like, whatever. I'm not a big content creator, but one thing that scares me a lot is I know that if I put out stuff as a hypocrite, I get very concerned that my hypocrisy will be exposed. I have this fear. So I really, 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 really try hard to live in integrity, because that is like one of my greatest fears, is that I will be saying that I'm living a certain way behind closed doors, lying. And this is because I've seen it so many times with content creators. So I refuse. It scares the crap out of me, to be honest, to act like that. So this is like, because I know what the response that I have when someone does this. I'm like, I've lost respect for you. I thought you held yourself in higher esteem, but you don't. You don't.
Yeah.
he doesn't like it. He's absolutely correct. He feels like I haven't provided.
Oh, your work.
We working together.
Okay.
We working together.
But you keeping him at bay. Or is he keeping you at bay?
He wants a relationship. He wants to be committed.
You just like the sex.
No.
Oh.
Let's keep it 100. How you keep somebody for 5 years? That's like, for real. You can't keep nobody at a distance for 5 years. I ain't never done no shit like that.
I am not vitamin D deficient.
No,
So
no,
everything is good in that department.
No.
I wanted her to be better. I wanted her to be better. I mean, it is literally dating 101, like Christian dating 101. Don't give your body. Like, don't give your body up. Like, it's like, I wanted her to be so much better because I actually, like, part of me liked her. I liked her. I liked that she wasn't afraid to tell Cam Newton that he was out here, mailmanning and making broken homes. She was right about it. She was right. But this is, you're living out of integrity. You're living out of integrity. And this is what happens. You are being exposed. So you're calling yourself some self-respecting, put together woman. But you acting like these regular degulars. Yes, I have seen her on Jamal Bryant's podcast. That was the second red flag. This is it. Because I was like, so when I saw, on Jamal Bryant's podcast, and I thought, did I make a video about that? Maybe I didn't. Maybe in my mind I made it. On Jamal Bryant's podcast, she's advising women to have a man come over, walk around, in this sensual, sexual outfit and see what his levels of discipline are like. That's going to be a no for a Christian woman. That's going to be a no. And think Jamal Bryant, for the first time in his life, has common sense because, that man, he says a lot of crazy things, was like, don't do that. He was adamantly like, please do not do that. Do not do that. Do not do that. But she's like, yeah, test your boundaries. And yeah, this right here was where I was like, okay, you're a fraud. Like you are, because I like people. I say this all the time. I say this with politics and I say this with life. I like my wolves in wolves' clothing. I can actually respect you in wolves' clothing, but do not come to me in sheep's clothing because then you're a snake. But if you are a wolf and you're like, I'm a wolf, I'm telling you I'm a wolf, then I'm like, okay, so I know how you move. So I actually can engage with you. I can actually respect you because you're honest. But she lacks honesty and integrity in this moment. And that is a problem. And the reason why she's being exposed like this is because she is doing one thing behind closed doors and saying another thing in public. And whatever you do in the dark will come to light. So if you're lying, it's going to come out.
He
wants a relationship.
She done kept him on the side until she figured out if it's something better. I see where this is going.
He just has some emotional maturity that he had to do. We're 9 years apart. He's 9 years younger than me. And so we both had to work through things, but he's had to work on his emotions and his intense insecurities around being in a relationship.
And you've been waiting on it. Like what's the problem? Why y'all not together?
Just because of that.
So you're waiting on that?
No, I'm not waiting on it. And I don't have him waiting.
So the D is good.
Oh,
let's keep.
Like, do you want to be married or not? Because if you want to be married, then you're not waiting for, like, if you're telling women, don't wait around, don't play games with these guys, but you're doing that, that's literally what you're doing. That's literally what you're doing and he goes, oh, so the D's good. And she just smiles. Yes. So you're calling yourself a Christian woman who not supposed to be sleeping around before you're married. And by sleeping around, I mean sleeping with anyone at all. This guy maybe wants to marry you, but doesn't, but you don't value yourself enough to walk away. So you're dating a Cam Newton, which is who you condemned. You're dating a Cam Newton. You guys better be afraid of God, man. You got to be afraid of the Lord. This is what it means by the fear of God. You ought to fear God because this is what he'll do to you. You start lying. You start being a hypocrite. So you got on Cam Newton's podcast and don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Cam Newton's a hot mess. He deserved every bit of that work that she gave him. But you got on the Cam Newton podcast on your high horse and walked him like a dog. But you're dating a Cam Newton, babe. You're dating a Nick Cannon, babe. He may not have all those children, but you're dating the same spirit, as we say, as the religious folks say. You're dating the same spirit. yes, Paul Pierce flipped the script on her. And you know what? It just takes one person. And again, that's why you have to live your life in integrity. That's one thing that I've just seen over the last 20 years is just you have to live your life in integrity because people will expose you. Like Paul Pierce had no idea what she was going to say in response to this. He's just asking a normal question that any other interviewer would ask. Like, I'm surprised no one else has asked her this question. And he stepped it, like, put his foot on her neck too. Like, you're going to answer this. So I'm surprised that no one else has asked her this question, but he didn't know the response. He wasn't trying to expose her. Now, has she been living in integrity? She would have said, I'm dating. And she would have said, I'm dating. And, when the right man steps up, I'll get married. Willie, why do you think he knew? I'm curious. Why do you think he knew? I'm curious what you'll say. I think what you're going to say, and I'll say this while you're typing, is I think what you're going to say is that he knows people in her circle and he's already seen her out. But I'm curious what you think about why you think that he knew. Because the thing about Dr. Cheyenne Bryant is that we don't see a lot of news about her. Like, again, it's just like the awkward timing, right? The guy, the CEO, she could have been out at a concert with this man, but no one's posted videos. Do you see what I mean? Like, it's so random in that way, which is why you never know when you're going to get exposed. Because we don't hear a lot about her personal life. Oh, you said yes. Okay. So you said he's in her circle. So he knew that was what happened. And he's okay. Well, I mean, to me, she seems smart enough to know to respond to that. So it's just interesting. But okay, shall we keep listening?
I mean, it's like, dude,
he put on his red pajamas and feel like he's supposed to get spicy tonight.
This is clear.
Oh my God.
I know she's from Long Beach. Like, don't try to come with the suit jacket, the boots. You still and the glow.
You know what I mean?
You still from Long Beach. Not from Inglewood. I can see that.
I am from San Pedro, a small community in the city of Los Angeles.
I can see through all of that.
Yes, he has great qualities. He does well in all that he does with me. He just emotionally
what I asked you. I asked you about his job and all that.
He does well in all areas.
Okay, she answered that. He does well in all
emotionally.
I don't know. That's a broad question. What all areas?
You're a man, so you answer this question.
I answer.
Emotionally, he goes back and forth from I love you, I want to be with you, I'm mad because you won't be with me, you won't commit to me. And then his insecurities get the best of him. And it's like, I want you, but I'm not sure if I deserve you. I'm not sure that I can facilitate you.
He's sleeping around also. They're just playing. They're playing. He's not serious about her. That's sad. That is really, really sad. Because let me tell you guys something, what I've learned about men. And we have a few men in the chat right now. When men want something, they just get it. They simply take it. That's why we have this whole bear and what is it called? Oh, bear and man conversation. When men want to be someone's husband, they simply get on one knee and propose and take it off the market. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong in the chat. But he doesn't want her. Exactly. She is not serious either. They're both playing around. She is deathly afraid of commitment. Deathly. She is deathly afraid of commitment. I knew I wanted to marry my wife the first day that I met her. So that's what my husband said about me. Yeah, I'm and every man, like healthy man that I've talked to has said, you pretty much know within those first couple of months. You pretty much know. Otherwise, you're just playing around. You're not really having, there's really not a lot to think about. The only situations where, some of these people do drawn out these 7-year relationships. And I think a lot of those start in college. You guys know how these people be doing. But in the Christian world, you dating somebody for 7 years or not, it's not a thing. If you are serious, you're not a thing. So, ooh, let's continue.
I'm not sure that I can be with you. So when I say emotionally instability, it's like him wanting to be with me is concrete. That's not unstable. His emotions in the relationship are just unstable to where, as a man, you got to get vertical within yourself before you can be in a relationship.
You good with these words.
What is she trying? Like, I'm trying to understand what she's trying to say here. So he wants to be with her. But his emotions in the relationship. So like he wants to be with her, but he's like, not like that. Like, because that I can understand. Basically, I want to be with you, but not like that. I want whatever situationship we have, but not like that. But I don't want marriage. So basically, you're not the one. Babe, you teach this stuff. Like, do you think you're special? You think you're going to change him?
I am.
You good with these words.
Listen,
because
but let me say
all
this.
These people advice.
Let me say this, Paul. He has every right to feel like what I've been doing as far as being in a relationship with him when I want to and is not something that gives him stability. However, I don't want to commit to a relationship with a man who I feel emotionally is not in a place of being able to be in a healthy relationship.
Okay, so then why? Why play around? Because to me, as a woman, like I'm not hanging out. When I got serious about marriage, and I was like, okay, like marriage is what I'm looking for. I was not really like interested in chasing men and like doing all this stuff where I'm like in and out of these situations. Exactly. Why not move on? That is the question. And that's where I said, I'm thinking you're coming across as someone who has a lot of self-worth and value. But women who value themselves don't put themselves in situations where they're being tossed to and fro. They simply don't do it. We simply don't. You simply go, you're not ready. I actually want something. But when you don't actually want relationship, this is fine. This is fun. This is exciting. You like the toxic wave. Ciao. The difference is Paul was a street guy and he wasn't trying to play politics in order to keep his job. Also, 100%.
So why are you messing with him? Why are you playing mental games with him?
I'm not playing mental games with him. It's not mental games. It's all transparency.
Why is it still sex involved?
How do you know we sexing? We could just be having a
Because you from Long Beach, I know.
Oh,
you can't play me.
We could not be doing the wood.
I know what's going on.
But let me say this. It is transparent. He understands. I understand. I understand what he wants. He understands why I don't want to commit at this moment with him, which is the emotional piece that him and I talk about openly. I support him in it. I hold space for him in it. We've talked about it intensively, and he understands it. And he's
come here. Sit. All right, let him off the leash. Go ahead.
That's what I'm doing?
Yeah, that's exactly. Come here.
Well, you know what? If that's what I'm doing, I'll say this, and people are gonna be mad. And I'm okay. If I'm doing what Paul said,
come here.
I'd much rather be the one walking you at the dog park than the one on the leash. If that's true.
That's exactly.
So that means, to my point, at 42, I'm not opt out. We are not opt out. Okay, we have options, and we are not on the leash. We can actually be.
I'm gonna tell you guys something. So I have a dog. Okay, you guys ready for what? When I was a teacher, boy, my students loved analogies because they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, Miss G, you were crazy." Okay, can I tell you guys something? When a dog is loyal, you don't have to choke up on the leash. You don't have to control, then let it go, and then control. You don't have to. When a dog is well behaved, you don't have to do all that stuff. When a dog is yours, you also don't have to do all that stuff. When you have a healthy relationship with your dog, you don't have to do all that stuff. So what Paul Pierce is saying is she doesn't have the kind of relationship with that man where they can move around each other in a healthy way. So she does have to choke up on that leash and let him go. And maybe he does the same thing with her, choke up on that leash, because they're both unhealthy. They're both unhealthy. And So when you guys have to listen to people when they tell on themselves, because if a man told me, oh, so you have him on a leash, I would say, I absolutely do not. What are you talking about? But she went ahead and said, if that's what I'm doing, I'd rather be the woman walking the dog. And then she tried to say, oh, I'm not out of options. I firmly believe that she does believe that she's out of options, because this is how, let me just be honest. Transparency moment. When I didn't feel like I had options, I kept people around longer than they should have. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. When you know that you have options, because she's talking about being 42 and having options, you don't entertain this hot foolery. Because you actually understand your value. To be honest, I don't take any advice from no man or woman that's not married. I said that earlier. I said it's really hard. It's really, really hard, because there's a dynamic that happens in marriage that happens in no other relationship. I don't care if you're living together. I don't care if you're boyfriend and girlfriend. There is a dynamic that happens when you become married, that just a piece of paper. There's something that happens that changes things. And so the stakes are different. The commitment's different, that a lot of people just can't understand if they're not married. Let's keep listening, because I think she just keeps telling on herself. I don't know.
Be the one holding the leash. It's all about your standards. It's all about you understanding who you are and you standing in and on your square and you doubling down on that, period. There's men out there who will show up in any capacity we want. We don't have to settle, and we don't have to settle at a certain time. We can do what we want. Because I tell you one thing I'm not doing. I ain't doing time, but I ain't spending a whole lot of time with who I want, when I want. And both of us are enjoying it, getting what we want.
Come on.
Okay.
But you want to be married. So you have to lie to yourself too. And if she was as confident in this situation as she's coming across, she wouldn't have stuttered when he started asking her. But she knows it. Like, you can see it in her eyes. Like, and I have this thing too, I hate it about myself, you guys. I hate it because, like, I feel like I can see when people are, like, uncomfortable. Like, even the people who have the best, mostly because I can notice it in myself, right? So because I'm aware of what how I behave when I'm uncomfortable, even if I'm, like, in a very strict business meeting or whatever, I can see it. And she is not happy in this situation. She would love to be, I think her healthy self would love to be swept off her feet, treated with respect, all of that. But you're dating a man who is 9 years younger than you. And she's 42, y'all, math, because I was an English teacher. Hold on now. 42, 41, 40, 39, 38, 37, 36, 35. Ooh. At 35, men are barely ready to get married. A lot of men are barely, like, hardly ready at 35. They're they're just now starting to, and she gives off mama energy, like she gives off that because she's a therapist. And so I'm telling you, there's some push and pull here. It's not quite so obvious to other people. Like, there's something going on here, but it's not all as copacetic as she's saying. Not happy, but comfortable. That's a better way to put it. She's comfortable, but she's not happy. She'll take it, but she's not happy.
Can't be just taking too long when y'all cook. Y'all gotta start making some decisions around here. Y'all gotta start making some final decisions. This is the final round of Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Shoot,
so who knows? Maybe end this year it'll be.
Let me ask you something, because this is always, and I ain't asked this yet. What percentage is sex in a relationship?
You mean based on studies or me?
No. I'm asking you, and I'm asking.
And then she said, who knows? Maybe there'll be a child. Okay, again, you're calling yourself a Christian woman. And this is why people don't take Christians seriously. They really don't. They really don't take us seriously, not one bit, not at all. Because you're calling yourself a Christian. You're having a lot of talk about D. You're not married. And then you say, well, who knows? Maybe there'll be a child at the end of the year. With who? with the 35-year-old. Did I do that math right, you guys? With a 35-year-old who doesn't really want to be in a relationship with you. So you're really pulling a Cam Newton here, babe. You're the same, like, you're really pulling a Cam Newton. I'm like so disappointed. I'm disappointed. I mean, yeah, I'm disappointed.
You.
Oh, okay.
Like, all right, what percentage of the relationship, like, because this is the thing, you could be with somebody like he'll die for you. He'll
Wait, Jamila, did I really do that math wrong? You said 33. You're right. Why did I do that wrong? Wait. I don't know any 33-year-olds right now. Do I have a brother who's 33? I got to do some math too. Not with the 42-year-old, no. No. Wait a minute. No. That's why it's like, because he's like, you're my mama. You're my mother. And it's not because of the age, it's because of the, like, if you're 42, you've lived some life at 42, especially for her in general, because she is a more mature, meaning, no, don't get on me now, but more mature, meaning she's experienced a lot of life. And if you're with someone who hasn't also experienced a lot of life, you're just incompatible on like life circumstances, like just ability to be resilient, ability, you know what I mean? Like there's just so many things. Wow. My understanding is she's using the phrase high functioning and low functioning wrong. If she was truly a licensed therapist, she would know that you can't clinically diagnose a client with that. I think she's trying to coin a term. But she's low functioning is a lot in some areas. And I would argue that she's low functioning in the areas where it is critical to select mates. Yeah. That's what I would say. And yeah. I'm gonna leave that child thing alone, because I think one of the reasons why she's choosing younger men is because she wants children and she wants their sperm. But they wash sperm now. So get with the man who is your intellectual equal and your emotional equal and wash that sperm. If it's that serious, because if she's talking about having a baby, she's probably going to Ebony K. Williams it and have IVF. So if you're going to do that, then wash the sperm and like don't worry about how old he is. Like, why not choose someone who's like 42 also? Because she wants to be in control. I heard she's LGBTQ and she's trying to cover it up for her image, and noticed at the beginning that she had companions. Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people are saying that about her. Like she's got like that sort of like masculine energy. I think one of the things that's interesting about her, to be honest, is I think that she doesn't believe she can get that from a man. Like, I don't think she trusts men enough to actually allow them to give her what she wants. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like, I think that she is getting a lot from her female count, from maybe perhaps they're in these, sort of more emotionally, tight relationship. But I think the vulnerability that it requires to be in a healthy marriage, she doesn't seem like she's actually willing to give. And so it's easier to be vulnerable with women than it is to be men. So in that sense, she has that situation. She has that tie with her female companions. And she has the physical sort of like, oh, I want to be cuddled and held and taken out on dates with the males. Does that make sense? So that's what I think is going on with her. I don't know if she is actually, in the LGBT community, but I think she definitely uses women as her emotional vulnerability. But that is quite literally the thing that will help you in a marriage. And so if you're not willing to give that to men, then you're going to struggle. And that's on being married for 2 years. I don't know nothing. But somebody here has been married longer than I have. And I'm like, this is what I'm realizing is I'm like, I've been seeing a lot. And that's why I'm like, I love my girlfriends. They're great, but they're not my husband. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to be, you know, and part of developing a healthy relationship is being able to be vulnerable in that way with the right person, of course.
He just, everything, like you trust everything that he'll stand in front of the bullet for you.
Yeah.
All of that. You'll trust that this man will be by your dying bed. I'm talking about like thick and thin. But the moment he step out on that end of it, it's over.
Well, you know, I'm a Jesus girl. The Bible says there's two.
Hold up. Let me find the passage, y'all. I'm gonna let her play while I do this, and then I'm gonna read it. Because this is some foolishness.
Two permissible reasons for divorce. One is what you described, which is called infidelity, and the other one is unfaithfulness.
That's the
Look up that
thing.
scripture.
Ain't
So
that
what I'm saying is,
so what percentage is sex in a relationship?
for me personally,
90?
For me personally, because I'm not into casual sex. So a
No,
part
you're
of
in
how,
the relationship.
yeah, I'm into it. What I'm saying is
Yeah.
because I'm not into casual sex, part of how I connect and express my love is also through the act of making love. And it's also through allowing my husband.
Okay, you guys ready? This is Hebrews 13:4. Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled. But whoremongers and adulterers God will judge. Okay, what is he talking about? Opening your legs. So you're a Jesus girl, but we struggling to deal with this. We're struggling. Like, help me understand. Okay, let's keep watching.
Husband to use my body as a vessel for his satisfaction. See, a lot of women have a problem with that. And I'm not knocking them. They do. But what I'm saying is for me, but that's a love language for me. So for me, like, right, if my husband is saying, you know, in the morning, I just want a quickie before I go to work. I don't take it as he's getting a quickie because he's using me. He doesn't love me. I take it as, oh my God, like I'm being used by my husband. He's using my body as a vessel to satisfy him. So for me, I'm going, I want you to want me for a quickie, for a longie, for an in-betweenie, whatever it is, because now I'm feeling needed by you, loved by you, nurtured by you.
Okay, she's telling herself again, you guys. She's telling herself. Let me share something with you guys. It is, I don't know how to say this without offending people, but it is not normal for a woman to feel like sex is a thing that's keeping a relationship together. It is not. What that tells me is that you value that above emotional vulnerability and above connection, because you don't want to be connected. So if you're a woman, and the way, not like one of the ways, she didn't even say one of the ways, she said the way that I feel blah, 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 blah is through sex. Okay, babe. It is very normal for a woman to feel connected through many other things and sex, but you said that is the way. So I'm concerned about your ability to be vulnerable again. I'm concerned about your ability to connect, because you're functioning like a man, low key. Just saying. And now she's talking about a husband. I'm like, what are you
by you? And I'm being a vessel for you,
Mm.
right? So my thing is, if he's coming to me all day long, and I've had to tell a client this, if he's coming to me all day long, then that should never be a defining factor whether he cheats or not. That's a character flaw. However, I'm also not putting my husband in the position to feel like, wait a minute, I'm in a deficit because all I'm doing is trying to use my wife, who should be a vessel for me, and I don't even have access to that. So I'm an access woman. My husband accessing my body is also a love language for me. So the more that he accesses me and has his way with me, the more I'm in love and feeling loved by him. But I'm also not a fatherless girl. I've had a father in my life, not just present, but present, having conversations with me that men should be having with their daughters. When I first got engaged, he was very clear. Listen, don't deny him. If he's leaving to go somewhere, offer it up. Make sure that he knows that he has access to it. He said, unless it's abuse or something of that sort, submit. There's nothing wrong with that. And so I was told that by a man who loved me, right? Who never took advantage of me. So his word is bond. And when I've been in relationships, I've been engaged twice. That's one thing that I remember my fiance saying. He was like, one thing I got to say about you, Shy. He's like, no matter what we went through or disagreed with or argued about, he's like, you never denied me sex, and you never.
Okay, so boom, boom, boom. Okay, I got another one for you guys. 1 Corinthians, as Donald Trump says, 1 Corinthians 6, verses 18 through 20. Know ye not that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit, Holy Ghost, which is in you, which ye have of God, and ye are not your own. For you are bought with a price. Therefore, I glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. Now, concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman, meaning have relations. Listen, engaged, ain't married. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. I'm a Jesus girl. And this is why, like, again, you're telling on yourself. You're telling on yourself. You're boldly exposing darkness. And a lot of people have excused this, like as Christians, excuse this. And it's like, we can't. Like, this is not something, you can't keep compromising, because you get situations like this. I guarantee you guys something, I don't know this woman, but I'm just going to say it. I guarantee you, if she wasn't sleeping with this man, this relationship would be done. And that would be for the better, because then she would be open to someone else. But Paul Pierce called her out. She's, mesmerized by the member.
Never played around with trying to puppet me with that. And it wasn't, again, because I want to keep him from cheating, because you can't control a motherfucker for doing what they're going to do no matter.
And just the language. Sorry, guys.
No matter what you do. Period.
Mm-hmm.
I feel loved when you use me as a vessel. I feel like,
I love it. No, this is game. I'm here.
No, that's real.
This is game. I like this game you giving
I love
out.
that. And
right?
I feel the same way.
But women have to also, and to the women who don't have that mindset because they've either been sexually abused or they're fatherless little girls, or they have other barriers. Listen, that is okay. Like, you got to work through what you have going on. It's not a comparison thing. But when you get to a space where you feel safe and you look at, again, yourself as, I'm married to this man, and him accessing me is really him using me as a feeding tank. I just think that is so beautiful that we are each other's feeding tank. And so it's always a feast available for you. And I do feel like if both men and women submitted sexually in all other ways, they say the feast is available for you, because commitment's what? not what I feel. It's what I said I would do. And if I'm marrying you, by all means.
Okay. I've had enough. Those are my thoughts, you guys. Again, at the like, and she can, and it's what's so, I don't want to use the word deceptive, but I'm going to use it, is that there's nuggets, right, of truth. There's nuggets of truth, and is it C.S. Lewis who says that it's not that things are all there, it's like they're almost right? It's almost right, and you don't realize you're being deceived because it's almost right, or it's the truth with a little bit of lie, right? And so we have to be careful when we're listening to these people talk and we don't know their values, or we haven't actually listened to them and listened to their values. That doesn't mean that I can't take some of the stuff that she said and go, you know what, that was actually pretty good. You know, that little nugget was actually good. But I know that she's not the person that I'm respecting or, you know, taking her word as gospel, because it's going to be a no for me. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much. I'm actually going to chop this video up because I realized that that it's because it chopped off or whatever. I think the other parts are probably gone. So I'll have to just leave this part in here. I'll just re-upload this with just the portion about what's her name, that lady. So anyway, you guys have a good night. I got to make some dinner, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.